Well, I'm back. Did you miss me? I know I didn't because I'm me. Let me tell you where I've been for the last month, so I get all of these conspiracy theories out of the way that I died and I'm currently floating on my way to China as a rotting corpse, and I assume that some sea crabs have taken a hitch on the way there to meet some of their cousins. They're distantly related in the genetic sense. They're not actually related in the familial sense, nor am I sure that crabs have a familial connection with one another. If there's any biologists in the comments, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do they have little Christmas gatherings together where they exchange presents like Harry Potter socks and Rose's chocolates? Or do they sit there and pick on each other's carcasses once they get smashed up against a rock? Who knows? I know which one I'd choose if I was a crab, or a person for that matter. If my cousin was on a rock, you know that I'd just be tucking in with the dinner plate straight away, the little plastic fork. Can I just get one from the fish and chip shop, thanks? Yeah, no, I don't need to buy anything, thank you. My cousin's brains. Well, you've come to the right place, obviously, to get help advice on your life. Clearly I'm the right person to be doing it, the guy that just admitted that he would practice familial cannibalism. Where I've been for the last month is rehearsing for, that's right, a month, my stand-up show. Let me give you some background to it, and I'm sure that this will interest you a lot, things about my personal life that aren't interesting. I thought I was ahead by 2 stand-up shows, but because of COVID and time makes fools of us all, one of them was completely dumped by the wayside because it's no longer relevant. Can't use it anymore. It was too dated and specific to the time. We all thought, like in World War I, that we'd be out before Christmas. And look at us now, 2 Christmases in. Oh, I'm sure that 1917 is going to be a lot better, right? That's where we're at now, through the looking glass, as it were. The upside of it is that I'll be touring 2 national shows at the same time. So you can either get your dose of the modern version of the propaganda model or the ancient version of the propaganda model. I know which one's more relevant. Strangely, it is the ancient one. I highly recommend you go and see that. The other one's crap. All right? And by crap, I mean that I've done it a lot. It's also really good. La la la, you should see both. I do think they're both great. I'm a big fan of me. But in that time, so I just had to scrap an entire show, and then I had to put the pedal to the metal, and all credit to my editor for just keeping up with it because it's extremely frantic trying to get 300 slides that are all crafted for the show. Just stupid little flashes of putting a Nicole Kidman head on a giraffe and then it goes to the next thing for a second. No one will ever even appreciate it, but that's just the rich composition that is my beautiful inner mind. Don't you hate those front covers of books that always has that phrenology head and then out the front comes all of these flowers? Oh, and like a playing card and one of those Italian hats with the little monocle on it, all that. Anyway, that is my mind. And so I'm extremely grateful for that part, but it did get me thinking. Yes, the last month has been a complete blur. I can't remember when January started. I can't even believe that we're not even in January anymore. Over a schedule by 5 days, but isn't that incredible? In 35 days, I was able to condense the amount of work that I would normally do in half a year, because I really did think that I was 1.5 shows ahead, and I thought, I can just leisure around with this. But that show was half written. Thank God it was half written. So I had to write half of a stand-up show properly. And you know what writing is? It's just rewriting the same page over. And you'll never get what the next word is. Over. I suppose there was a bit of a clue there in that the first one was over as well. You are doing that, probably, I think there was a good estimation for this, you're probably rewriting, if you're a good writer, you're probably rewriting the same page 40 to 50 times, getting it more and more streamlined. The metaphors a lot sharper. The images of Nicole Kidman as a giraffe, pass on to the editor, I don't have to worry about those things. But at least I thought of Nicole Kidman with a giraffe. Beautiful mind. And all of that's happening, and then you have to go into the next part, which is the really difficult part, which is memorizing an entire show. Normally I give myself 3 months to memorize a show, and then by the time that I get on there, it's half memorized. I'm pretty confident that I've memorized the show. Now, I'm also confident that I'm going to stumble a lot, but I think that the average person will look at me doing it and not really notice those stumbles. It'll be obvious to me because I've done it so many times, but to the average person, they'll probably think, oh, it's just pausing for dramatic effect. And that's exactly what is happening. And you're not going to tell your friends that go there. They're not going to be looking for my mistakes now that I've given away the secret. See, there's something you don't know about our little magicians. We're really good at making people disappear. Yeah. It's a good way to look at comedy, actually. It's a magic act. We can get into that another time if you're so inclined. I think that that's what I'm trying to get at here, though, is that the amount of work that I would probably do, let's be honest, in about the span of 9 months, I did in a month, and it was hell. I feel really dumb. My other editor said, you're like a bird in a cage, and you realise that those cage birds slowly go insane after a while, just repeating to themselves, until they go have a mental breakdown. And, by the way, that's a little pet project of mine as well. If you do have a bird in a cage, just set it free so it could get eaten by an eagle or a bird. Come on, what are you doing here? If you let that bird go, it will just fly out because it doesn't want to be. It is so cruel to keep them with your teeny cage. At the very least, can you build an atrium in your house? Come on. Is that so much to ask that you spend $20,000 on something that you can buy at a pet store for $15,000? Wayside point. I do feel extremely stupid, but I'm also unbelievably proud of my brain. I remember reading that Abraham Lincoln could apparently recite the entire Bible verse for verse from beginning to end. That is an art form that we have lost in the modern era because we're just so stimulated by, as we'll see in the previous video, TikTok. But we already talked about that in that video, so I'm not going to go down that path again. Oh, just one little cheat sheet. It's bad for you. Ooh, no, no, no. That's right. You should think about that. All the little 15-year-olds that think your mum isn't cool because it's like, I shouldn't eat this chocolate because I'll get fat. That's you on TikTok. And it's even sadder because it's not even delicious. I suppose it's like roses only. 5 of them are. And the rest of them, nougat. Yes. It is quite remarkable to me, anyway. I mean, I know that the human brain is obviously capable of memorizing more than 2 hours, but this is incredible to me. I think that I could get up on stage and tomorrow, without rehearsing, probably pretty much remember word for word, and let's put a couple of asterisks there, a little bit less than word for word, but pretty close to word for word, 2 shows. 2 shows that have extremely specific beats in them. If you get that part wrong, you've screwed up 10 minutes of the show. You have to be precise. And I have almost, let's be more confident about it, I have remembered 2 shows front to back. I can get up there, rattle it off, give me my money. Now I'm going to Vegas to gamble your money. And then, like, is the classic cycle of 70s comedians, come back to the stage for more money so you can gamble again. Win back your license. It's never too late. That's what I'm trying to say here. You, first off, know theoretically that you are capable of a lot mentally. Mentally, you know that your brain, you hear all of these stats of, oh yeah, you know, you can put all the grey matter around the world twice, all that kind of stuff, and you go, oh wow, and then you get on with your day of looking at memes that oddly about Connect 4 a lot recently. I don't know why that is. It's in the zeitgeist at the moment. Okay, well, you know, good for everyone. But that zeitgeist, take it away. You've got your raw brain there. Here's the real challenge. Can you get the most out of it? And it's moments like that where you can actually look back. You know what's a really, really difficult accomplishment? When you are a tradie, and this is something that I'm always talking about on the Neil and Jordan podcast, I am extremely jealous of the fact that tradies can get out with their long, glorious mullets and wife beaters, slip back a couple of beers at work. I don't know if I can do that. It doesn't turn out well when I do it. That's for damn sure. That's when I get cancelled. But that's when they get social. What a world, eh? Yeah, so, you know, Oakley's on, chugging it back, and at the end of the day, they can look at what they have done and say, yep, that couple of layers wasn't there before old Russ came on the sheen. And now that he is on the sheen, it's 2 layers better. All right, time to get back to my boat that I never use. It's in my driveway. Right? That's what tradies get. They have that physical accomplishment in front of themselves, and that, I think, as a man, is really important, that you have something there that you can point to and say, I was able to do that. I was able to build that wall. No Trump involved. But when your job is mental, there's the upside of the fact that you don't have arthritis by 35. But the downside is that it's very hard to point at things that you've actually accomplished. And even when you do mentally accomplish something of, I wrote the annual report for my erasure company, and it's called rubbing out the errors. Because that's what I did. I rubbed out 3 errors, and that took me a year. Because I hated every second of it, and also I hate my wife. That's usually what happens when you have a brain job. It's very hard to point at those accomplishments. This last month, even though I do feel a lot dumber because I don't feel connected to anything or anyone, I've made myself insane like that. But the upshot of it is, though, that you feel like your brain has undergone what your body does when you lift weights. It actually feels strained at the end of the day. Every single day. And I do go and write a lot throughout obviously, my whole job is writing. That's mostly what I do. I'm constantly writing. It takes a lot for me, and I probably spend 12 hours doing it. 12 hours a day, minimum, doing that. It does take a lot for it to feel exercise, but I do have the accomplishment of doing that. And then I started reflecting on, and this is actually the point of the video, this is what you should be paying attention to now. Hey! Listen to me! Now put down your dick! I'm sure someone actually did put their dick away. Oh, fucking knows. I would like to reflect on the point that if I was not moving towards that throughout my 20s, being able to sit there and not even notice an entire day go past, which has its own downsides, I'm willing to admit that you are sitting there in front of a computer for 12 hours. Oh, another day of my life when I've only got so few of those. Oh, well, let's sink another day into that. Oh, okay. There is that downside. But the big accomplishment here is that I have the discipline to do 9 months of work in a month. If push comes to shove, I can do that. 9 months for me. Not to brag here, but I do think that I am a lot more disciplined than the average person. I'm not the most disciplined person on earth. But as I'm always saying, just as I said before there, building a muscle. Discipline is a muscle. And if I wasn't lifting that throughout my 20s, there is no way that I could be caught sprung foot like that. Oh, you thought you had this, you thought you could just coast on through with this, you could read some more books about the subject, this and that, but you had none of that. It was go time, and when go time came, you were able to kick it into overdrive even more than you already do. Because I just worked so hard. You know, that's why you should sign up to Jordan Shanks. Just bear the fruits of my labour. It's all about you. I'm able to do that. Can you do it? Can you really, if it comes to it? Could you shrink 9 months of work into a month if you really had to do it? Do you have the tools? Do you have the mental capacity to do it? If you don't, this is something that you should be striving towards. And in fact, I can't remember the guy's name, but he wrote 1,000 Principles on Success. And the most important one at the beginning of the book is discipline. He says that none of the other 999 factors into success mean anything if you don't have the discipline to implement them. So if you are in your early 20s, you should be thinking about becoming more disciplined, aiming towards that as a goal. The markers of that are, first off, if you say you're not going to do something, do you actually go ahead with it? Really good example. Are you able to resist smoking if you're a smoker? If you say you're not going to smoke, can you actually do it? If you can't, that means that it's not even a thing of being addicted. I would say that you just aren't disciplined. Right? Now we're getting into that South Park territory of, sometimes doing it and then sometimes not. That's true discipline. I'm even going further than that. I'm saying, are you able to push yourself to do something even though you don't want to do it? I'm going to be honest, I didn't enjoy my January, obviously. I went marginally insane, right? My brain feels like it's liquid, but I did it. And that is the pat on the back at the end. And that only came from constantly pushing myself. Can you work a little bit harder today? Can you put a little more effort into this script? Are you able to memorize an entire hour? I mean, look, a lot of people, if you told them, can you memorize this? They wouldn't be able to do it. In fact, recently when I was on the little come up thing, but, I'm going to be on a certain show. And I'm very proud about this show, actually. Anyway, the guy that was there, normally they say, yeah, you can read off the teleprompter. And I thought, yeah, okay, great. I can do that. Wasn't able to do it. Teleprompter was broken. And then they said, I'm awfully sorry, but you're going to have to memorize these lines. Every other actor there was struggling. We were there for hours getting the same take because they couldn't even remember a sentence. When it came to me, I could remember 3 paragraphs without stopping like that. I could recite it a few times in my head and then I'd say, let's go. And then, you know what my nickname was? And I was really proud of this. The One Take Wonder. That is a skill that was built over 10 years of writing, memorizing. You know how I'm always saying that there's 3 keys to success in whatever field that you're in? Those would be mine. In stand-up comedy, that's definitely what it is. Writing and memorizing. Those are 2 of the big cornerstones. Third one is you got to bring the yucks. So obviously creativity is the third. I would say those are the 3 building blocks. 2 of those, in fact 3 of them, everything is always linked to discipline, but 2 of them definitely, you can see the link between those 2. Discipline should be your key. If you have nothing else going for yourself in your life, that's all that you should be looking for. Setting yourself, this is why I'm always saying, new year, new you. I want you to set yourself some goals for the rest of the year. I know that we're late, just pretend it's Chinese New Year, right? And late by a week. I want you to set a couple of very simple goals. Maybe something like, the usuals. The absolute basics that you should be doing anyway. I'm reading for an hour a day. Yes, that includes audiobooks. You can do that. That's fine. I'm reading for an hour a day. And I'm working out for at least half an hour a day. How long can you keep that chain going? Don't beat yourself up, because this is what you also need to know about it. And I want you to write this down. This is all the homework that you have. If you haven't done your goals, obviously. But your homework is to write this down. Discipline is a muscle. So it atrophies, but it also builds over time. You shouldn't beat yourself up if you can't do what you want to do immediately. Because it's just the same thing as just looking at yourself in the mirror and going, why don't I have a 6-pack? Even though I've done 3 sit-ups in my life, which I'm sure is what a certain politician that I'm not allowed to talk about thinks when he goes to the gym. Right, anyway, you want to sign up to Jordan Shanks? I really highly recommend that you do. You're not cheating anyone but yourself if you don't. I think that. When people always say, I'm just getting the free stuff here. Yeah, but you're not getting the primo stuff. You're really not. Obviously, all of this is just dimes, and I'm just giving it away for free because I'm an extremely nice man. But if you want to, because the 2-pronged reasons that you should be doing it. The first one is that you should be committing to just giving yourself daily reminders of self-help, because it's like taking a bath. That's why you should be committing to it. But the second one is, I do think that a lot of the stuff in there is a lot more juicy than it is out here. So if you thought that this is good, you just wait until you sign up. All right, I'll see you next time. But thanks so much. I'm back, baby.